Hello, my name is River Snow, and welcome to my channel. I have decided to start an Amberlynn Reid reaction channel because I'm super inspired by people like Mr. Snowflake, Oh Lordy It's Dorny, The Ankle, and I've got some personal experience with a lot of the things that Gorl World talks about. So for starters, I lost 130 pounds. I used to be almost 300 pounds, and I basically did something that I didn't think I would ever be able to do. And similarly to Amberlynn Reid, I went through a ton of different cycles. I also have experience with narcissistic, I can't say things on YouTube. So yeah, I've got experience with that, and I would like to kind of weigh in as somebody who has survived that and has also been through like massive weight loss. So I figured what better way to start than with Beck's live stream, Blame Reversal 101, where the absolute she hits the fan, and we get tons and tons of tea. So I figured, why not start with this one? And I'll kind of give a little bit of an input. I'm going to be really, really bad at first because I'm just starting this and I have no idea how to talk to a camera. So I'm basically just going to talk to you guys kind of like you're my friend. I hope you don't mind that. But yeah, so I've been super inspired by other reaction channels, and without further ado, let's get into this. I like Beck so much.
Hey everyone.
Hey,
If you
Beck.
felt crazy after watching everything unfold last week, you're not alone. Trust me, I'm feeling it myself.
I can only
There's
imagine.
been so much coming out, it's been really hard to keep up. Between reactions and live streams and the podcast with Casey and now Amber's last live stream on Thursday, it has just all been overwhelming. Amber's live was hard for me to watch. It brought up a lot of emotions I've had to confront. Her language, outlook, and how she twists everything was very triggering. And some of it was clearly an attempt to attack my character and discredit me and what I've said about her.
Absolutely. When a narcissist is being what they see as slighted or embarrassed or whatever, they're going to lash out. They're absolutely going to lash out, and they're going to clap back in the only way that they know how. And because Amber doesn't really have a leg to stand on, that is obviously not literal, she's gonna do whatever she possibly can to discredit anything that Beck has to say. Of course, Beck comes with receipts, and they're much smarter than Amber is. So yeah, Amber's not gonna get far when it comes to this.
Because of that, I had to comb through everything she said, take notes, and try my best to wrap my head around what was going on. Reaction channels have really helped so much with that, and it's difficult seeing so many people watch her lie about me and others while trying to manipulate the narrative. But they remember things even I don't remember sometimes, and getting that.
That's honestly kind of crazy that reaction channels are able to remind Beck of things that they would have forgotten. I mean, I totally understand. You're not going to want to remember every little detail of your time with the other person, the person who was a narcissist and who abused you. You're not going to want to remember every little bit of every little moment that you spent with them. And for reaction channels to be able to go and document every single thing that Amber has done to Beck is honestly amazing.
Outside perspective has been incredibly important and enlightening. I've been trying to keep myself from having to address her directly most of the time. I did consider making this video at her specifically, but when I was writing this, I found out that she wasn't who I wanted to talk to. I wanted to tell you what I thought and what.
I'm crazy proud of Beck for that. Honestly, not even wanting to talk to Amber, wanting to talk to us and tell us what happened, because it's so valuable for anybody who's going through a narcissistic abusive relationship at the moment. Hearing it from someone else's perspective and maybe seeing and like being able to correlate things that are going on in your own relationship with things that Beck is talking about going on with their relationship with Amber is incredibly valuable, because then you're kind of able to put things into perspective and see just like how bad your situation is by having Beck explain theirs.
What I'm feeling. This is all really new to me. Yes, I've talked about our past
Same.
relationship before, but not to the extent I have the last month or so. and I've been on YouTube in the past, but I've never had this amount of support behind me until recently. Now, with more public support comes more attention and more expectations. I knew talking about her again would bring a lot of eyes my way, and I don't want to let anyone down, but I can't.
You could never let anybody down. Like, you can never let anybody down. Speaking your truth, telling your story is going to only help others who are in a situation like that. That's it. And you can't let anybody down. Even if you feel like you're not doing the best you can do, everybody starts somewhere. Like, I'm literally starting today with your video. You're inspiring me to start because I'm able to resonate so much with you. So, like, just honestly, just think about all the people that you're helping. Like, you could never let anybody down.
Can't stand by and let fear stop me from talking about what I went through and bringing awareness to covert narcissism and mental, emotional, and financial abuse. All abuse survivors deserve to be advocated for, whether it is physical or psychological.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, people lean more towards saying, people lean more towards the physical side when you think of abuse. You think of like, well, if somebody's not, hitting you, then it's not abuse. But it absolutely can be just the way that someone talks to you, the way that somebody perceives you in their own life. If someone is constantly talking down to you and constantly devaluing you as a person, that is absolutely abusive. Same thing with financial. If someone is always holding finances over your head, telling you that they've given you a place to stay, and if you do XYZ, you're going to lose that place to stay, that's a massive. It's a massive red flag for abuse. It absolutely is abuse.
Amber herself was once a victim of abuse in her childhood, but she has continuously weaponized her trauma to manipulate people into getting her way in many different scenarios. Even now, she is doing that, trying to paint herself to look like as much of a victim as her own victims. She wants me to tuck my tail and run away from this like I've done before, but I won't be doing that this time. First, I want to say that I understand if Amber has maybe swayed your opinion of me. It's so easy to get...
No, not at all. Not at all. Anybody who's been watching Amber for any period of time whatsoever will know that she's an absolute liar. She will lie through her teeth to get whatever she wants, to gain sympathy, to gain, to sway audience's favor one way or another, and nobody's believing it anymore. I mean, maybe like the 30 people who, subscribe to her live streams and whatever and actually support her, but the vast majority of people, the thousands of people who watch Gorl World stuff, 100% know that she's lying about you.
Swept up in her confusion and manipulation. I was swept up in it for many years, and you don't have to like me to still hold Amber and people like her accountable publicly for the harm that they cause. I will link some videos in the description for channels that really helped me make sense of this whole mess.
I love all of these reaction channels. Hecticana, Karina Kaboom, Jordy. I haven't actually seen the Narc Alert. I'm going to have to watch them. And I didn't know that Jordy's Curved Thumb actually had a reaction channel as well, so I'm going to have to watch theirs as well. But I love reaction channels. Love them.
But I just ask that you give me a chance to make some points before forming your whole opinion. It has been difficult to understand and tell my truth because this has all been so messy and emotional from the beginning with Amber. Secondly, I want you to keep in mind two things that I've learned about while trying to make sense of what I went through. Darvo is a manipulation tactic.
Darvo is so important to understand. So Darvo is, well, Beck's going to explain it, so I'm not going to go into it, but Darvo is so important to understand, and it's the reason that a lot of victims, survivors, will feel like they're crazy when they're in a relationship with somebody who's a narcissistic abuser, because everything that the person does towards other people is very, very different than what the person you are seeing as being in a relationship with that person. They're going to be wonderful to everybody else, and then they're going to be themselves towards you. And this Darvo is incredibly important to understand.
Tactic often used by narcissists and abusers when confronted about their behaviors and actions. Deny stands for downplaying or minimizing severity of actions, deny it happened, reject responsibility for it, or refuse to acknowledge it. Attack means attacking credibility, character, or motivations and exaggerating or lying counter accusations to divert attention from them. Reverse victim and offender. twisting the narrative to make them the real victim of abuse, casting blame onto someone else to regain control, and manipulating emotions to get sympathy or pity.
That happened to me a lot, the reverse victim and offender, when I was dealing with my own personal narcissistic abusive relationship. I was frequently being cast as the offender in the situation. So I would have been, he would speak to his friends who were our mutual friends about me and he would up, either make up scenarios that didn't happen or twist scenarios that did happen into making it seem like I egged it on or I started the fight when, things got out of control. Um, and it really does make you feel like you're completely insane because you've got your friends, your mutual friends that you have with that person telling you or not telling you how they feel about you, and you are wondering where they're getting this information from because you're a completely different person behind the scenes, and they're completely confusing like you and your abuser essentially. So your abuser is taking how they are treating you and applying that to you in their mind, and that's what they're telling their friends, their family, etc.
And the narcissist prayer, coined by Dana Craig, used to demonstrate the way the narcissist thinks about their actions. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. I think for someone
That that is it hits the nail on the head completely. I actually hadn't heard the narcissist prayer before this video. I've watched this video before. I mean, this is not a raw reaction, obviously. It's been days. Um, but I heard it in this video first, and my jaw dropped. I was completely shocked. How had I had not heard that before? It's a perfect way to describe. It's a perfect way to describe the way that they treat people.
who claims to not be a narcissist and to only have a few narcissistic traits, these patterns are very similar, if not exactly what she's done and is doing now. However, I don't want you guys to believe I am some perfect victim of Amberlyn Reed. I'm not and have never been perfect before her.
No one's perfect. No one's perfect, and we don't expect perfection from you. Hell, we don't even expect, uh, even like. Uh, it's stupid. We don't expect perfection from you. We really just want for you to be happy and healthy. Like I was gonna say, we want honesty, yes, we want honesty, but we don't. We're not owed that. You don't owe us anything, Beck. The fact that you're sharing your story and speaking out against Amberlyn is amazing, but you don't owe us that, and we don't expect perfection from you. We don't expect even a fraction of perfection from you.
Or after. She continues to say that everyone believes I am all good and she is all bad. She acts as if I've never been criticized in the past or now. But the truth is, she has never been able to take criticism and still can't handle it. Anyone who has ever had something to say about the crappy things that she has done is against her and has it all wrong. And it is not just to me, but all of her exes and the majority of her audience and the YouTube community, including reaction channels past and present. On the subject of not being perfect, reactive abuse exists within personal relationships, and I'm sure that I've said some inappropriate or mean things to Amber.
Of course, you've said some inappropriate and mean things. Everybody has. Like nobody has never said anything bad towards somebody that they know, someone they're friends with, someone they love. It happens. We're all human. We're not robots. So we expect you to have said a few things. And honestly, if you hadn't said anything, that would have literally made you a saint. Like you could be sainted tomorrow if you never said anything towards Amber, because the stuff she said to you was so bad that it warranted an equal response back. Like, give that energy back to her, honestly. Like,
during fights and arguments, a lot of sensitive things were being brought up, and I can't remember now the things I said, but we were having long-lasting problems in our relationship because of her continued behavior and our situation. Reactive abuse doesn't mean that you're not being abused. I may not remember.
Yes, 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 yes. Reactive abuse does not mean you're not being abused. Reactive abuse, like I said, you're just matching their energy. At some point, you get sick and tired of constantly being talked down to, constantly being dehumanized, constantly being just picked on and picked fights with, that you're eventually just going to retaliate. I did the exact same thing. I, I I would fight really, really badly with my ex because he would just drive me insane. And I'm not the kind of person, well, I was the kind of person before who would take a lot of crap, but like now I'm not. But even back then, like I would eventually just snap. I'd eventually snap. And Beck did the same thing. They eventually just snapped because of what Amber was saying, and I don't blame them whatsoever.
We're saying at least my family didn't do drugs, but that is not representative of my true feelings then or now. I have my own family members, my sister and my aunt, who struggled with their own addictions. My sister's been in recovery for 20 years and we sadly lost our aunt. I really don't think I would have said those things, but it was a long time ago and I can't be sure what I said or what she was saying to me before that happened. She showed...
That's okay. That's okay. Honestly, like I said, you're just matching the energy, and even if you said it's okay.
no proof, and I don't have any either. But regardless, conflict can be used by toxic people who love to push and bring you down to their level. They do this to make you feel that they are not the problem, and instead you are both the problem. Amber, I want to remind you that I would have never been on YouTube if it wasn't for you putting me on your channel to begin with. I wouldn't have talked to Karina last year if you wouldn't have still been talking about me. I probably wouldn't have ever come back to my channel if you had not continued talking about me.
Honestly, though, I'm glad you did. Because, like, look at all the support you have. And look at the financial situation that she left you in. Now you at least get to recoup some of that by telling your story, by helping other people, by embarrassing her, which honestly probably feels pretty good. Like, yeah, don't lie. Yeah, so definitely, I'm glad that you came back to YouTube. I'm sorry that you were put on YouTube in the first place against your will. That's super gross and awful, and it must have given you a really, really bad experience at the very beginning. But I'm glad that you're thriving now on the platform. Honestly, you deserve it.
And now I'm back and I don't know what I'm doing, but our audience is intertwined and you can't pretend that there isn't years of evidence showing your pattern of abusive behaviors toward every single one of your exes. We can't all be lying, Amber. I don't know where to start.
If you have a bunch of exes and they are all saying basically the exact same thing, separate of each other, do you really think you're ever going to convince anybody that they're all lying and you're not? Like, at some point you have to realize that the problem is you. That's the thing, though, about narcissists, is that they never realize that the problem is them. Ever. So it's basically just like going around in circles. It's not going to happen. Amber's never going to realize that she's the problem. But still, like I said, all of your exes saying the exact same thing. Come on.
So I'm going to just do what she couldn't do and list out exactly what she lied about in this live stream. Number 1, Amber claimed she never talked about me after the proposal story on her channel. Except she did. She made another video with my name in the title a couple weeks later. She talked about me on her Instagram stories and in her Q&As and in the comments of other people's live streams and videos.
I still can't believe that she blames Beck for not noticing she had cancer sooner. That's so gross. That's just so gross.
She even talked about me to people in her private life, according to Alexis, but I care less about that. The online stuff she knew people would see. And how many times now has she said she is done talking about me or the situation and then talks about it again? I've lost count. Number 2, she says she couldn't access the joint bank account that she had a card to with her name on it. I will continue to get into this more when I cover financial abuse later in this video. Same with buying me a car. Number 3, Amber said that I claim to never have met Jade or Libby. That just isn't true. There is evidence of me saying I met Jade before, as well as videos of me being in the same room as Jade.
Amber lies about the weirdest shit.
Libby, I did say that I never met, but that's because I'm pretty sure we never did meet in person. There's a video of me sitting with Amber and talking while she was on You Now with Libby. I did not meet Libby. I knew of Libby as a friend of Amber's she knew while with Destiny. Number 4. She says that Eric and Ricky told her that I admitted to using her for money and called her a fat fucking bitch.
Even if you never did call her that, she deserved to be called that. Let's be real.
And I know some of you really wanted that last part to be true, but I truly do not remember saying those things to Eric or Ricky. I did complain about Amber sometimes.
I'll say them for you later.
But I never made fun of Amber's weight or body, even after the breakup. And why would I admit to using Amber for money if that's what I was doing? It just doesn't make sense. Eric and Ricky are also notorious gossips, and they love the drama. They told me back when we were still talking that my own sister and Logan were talking crap about me behind my back, and they weren't.
That's so ridiculous. I don't understand people like that. Just trying to stir up drama and hate for no reason.
Number 5. Amber
especially between family members, too. That's just gross.
Claimed to have told me many times to go get a job if I was so bored, and that she supported me in working or starting my own business. She also said that I only ever Ubered twice. That was a lie. I drove for Uber when I could, off and on, even after the breakup. Buying me some art supplies doesn't equal being supportive of me working and having a job. She admits herself in this live stream that she was controlling of my time and never wanted me to leave her alone. Which is the Amber, was I allowed to leave to work, or did I always need to be with you?
Definitely it was the latter. Because like we've seen it in past videos. I watch past videos all the time, and we see the way that she was treating you. And the same thing with her partners before you as well. She never wanted them out of her sight. It's ridiculous.
Number 6. She tells people in her live that I said we weren't friends after the breakup, and that isn't entirely true. On my channel, I've said before that we hung out after the breakup, but that after I moved out, we were only friendly. We rarely saw each other unless I was dealing with my stuff at the apartment, and sometimes we were with mutuals. She continued to reach out to me every once in a while, and I continued to keep the peace when I had to because I still had people and stuff connected to her. Number 7. She lies about giving me her doctor's appointment slot for our psychiatrist.
This is just so stupid. As if that's how doctor's appointments work. You just get the... They're not transferable, Amber.
Because she was so worried for me. I don't understand this one or even why she thought that's how doctor appointments work. But I will bring this up again when I talk about my health history later in this video. Number 8. Amber dances around implying that I pressured her for sex by asking her to be in a relationship.
I really don't understand her fixation with accusing people of pressuring her into sex or abusing her in that way. It's honestly ridiculous.
You have no idea how nauseated I felt hearing that. I'm going to be going into more details and telling you the whole story of that night. Number 9. Claims she never saw the settlement money and that, quote, it just went into the joint account. I don't know.
The fact that she stole the settlement inheritance money from Beck just honestly completely breaks my heart. As somebody who doesn't come... Oh, I just noticed this says mommy instead of money. Sorry, I squirreled. As somebody who like doesn't come from money, and money is just like a very kind of like precious thing, if that makes sense. Not in like a weird way, but you know, just basically like when it comes around, it's like, oh my goodness, I can finally, you know, do XYZ. It's really sad to think that when Beck finally got, you know, a little bit, that she would have been able, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, that they would have been able to do something special with it, especially considering it came from their mom. And their mom wanted to do something with it. And so being able to, like they say, honor their mom by doing something that their mom would be kind of, you know, proud of with that money, and not being able to because Amber had to have it all, is just honestly, it gives me the ick.
I don't know what happened to it. Number 10. She lied and said that she took the joint debit card away from me because Jade was uncomfortable. That card was only attached to the joint account we shared that originally was my account, and by that time she already had a separate private account with the same bank.
That's another thing, is that I don't understand why, like, I do, because of the whole narcissistic control thing. Like, narcissists want to have control over anything that their partner has. So the fact that Amber put herself on Beck's bank account, that, that kind of makes sense in a way. But the fact that, like, what was Amber doing prior? Did she not have a bank account? Did she just have cash lying around? Like, she was on YouTube prior to meeting Beck, and was getting paid off of YouTube prior to meeting Beck. So what bank account was that going into? Did she have did she have one with, I don't think she had one with Destiny. And yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. But I don't understand why she had to go and take over Beck's bank account when she should have already had an established one. It just doesn't make any sense.
That all of her money was going into. Number 11. Amber also lied about free bleeding, about how long I helped her wipe, how often I brushed her hair, and how often she showered. And then she also read out a chat about us both having...
I'm sorry. I have no shade to anybody who free bleeds. I I I just don't understand how somebody who, like Amber has told us, was bleeding a lot for a long time, nonstop, can do that. Like, at some point, you just kind of have to, and especially when living with other people, right? Like, at some point, you just kind of have to realize that that's not going to work for the long term. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it because it's gross, but yeah. And again, no shade to anybody who actually who free bleeds. Like, I'm sure people who do it in a hygienic way, and they know, like, their body, and, like, how much to expect, blah blah blah, whatever. So, but, like, Amber's just gross.
hygiene issues. But I will once again get more into that in another section. Next, I will address the screenshots that she did show in her live stream and the situations surrounding them from what I remember. Screenshot A. Stop Talking Crap, September 7th, 2022. Prior to this, I had made a video on my channel that briefly mentioned Amber. I watched a Karina video and talked about it. I mentioned past relationships, and when I brought up Amber, I said something like, there were good and bad times, and she made a video shortly after that, on September 6th, that talked in length about my proposal to her. In her video,
that was totally unfair. That, first of all, that should be a private moment. That, yeah, if you want to tell, like, friends and family and whatever about, like, how you were proposed to, or if you want to make it public, like, and have, like, a big huge, because I mean, I see a lot of public proposals as well, and, like, make it a big huge thing or whatever. But if somebody proposed to you privately, especially in the way that Amber says that Beck proposed to her, don't share that. Like, it's just that's a very private moment between and it was clearly just a way to get back at Beck, which I don't understand Amber's obsession with them.
She belittled me again and talked badly about me, making the whole thing sound like something she never wanted and was below her. Apparently, I sent her this text the next day. B. Last effing warning. Stop talking about me. All you do is talk about me, and I just want to forget you and all the bullshit. I will stop being silent if you don't, and I'm not the only one who has a lot to say about you. Final effing warning. Take my name out of your mouth, and I will get the law involved.
I love the take my name out of your mouth. That was, it's so good. So good.
I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It was a little over a year after the breakup, and I had just had enough. If I didn't see when she would post something about me, someone was sending it to me, and in those moments, I just wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I'd finally broken up with her and gotten away, and I needed time to be left alone.
That's the most important thing when you finally detach yourself from a narcissistic abuser, is you just need time. You need time to figure out what the hell just happened to you. You need time to heal or sorry, begin healing, because healing can take years, decades, if not, forever. Some people don't heal. Um, and getting thrown back into it right after you finally escape must just be the worst, scariest feeling in the world. I honestly, I can't imagine. When I escaped, I, I escaped. That was it. I was done, and I never had to see that person again. I was never dragged into anything with them. That was it. And I can't imagine if they were a public figure and I was dragged into that, it would be, yeah.
Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank. I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account.
Again, how was Amber getting paid through YouTube if she didn't have a bank account?
She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself. I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my...
Wait. Yeah, okay, so opened her own private account and put her name on yours? So did she have her own private account plus the joint account? So you had nothing. Yeah, okay, yeah, so you had nothing.
The joint account that we both had access to. Eventually, she had her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full-time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account.
And that was the goal. That was the goal. That way she can hold over your head every single little thing that you have. The roof over your guys' head, the the water you wash yourself with, the food you eat, everything. That's the goal. The same thing happened to me. I was living in his house, and it was all his furniture, it was all his stuff, and I wasn't working or working minimally, and everything was held over my head. If I didn't do this, if I didn't behave this way, then I could get kicked out because I didn't have legal rights to the place that I was living in. So that's exactly what Amber wanted to do to Beck. That's exactly it.
But nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the one to spend it herself. Screenshot B.2 banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A. You need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay you on this 22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore.
When I pay you on the 22nd, so, Beck doesn't have to tell us what she paid them. But I'll bet you it's nothing. I'll bet you it's maybe like $20-$30 or whatever, to just be like, okay, here you go. Yeah, everything else is, has to go towards bills because we split all that and whatever. And then, yeah, you need to open your own bank account, Amber says. It was Beck's account. It was. You need to open your own bank account. Well, why don't you? Pooks. Fucking ridiculous.
B, then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy when I see Beck like get some sass. And like it's beautiful because that's what this deserves.
that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That again used to be my account.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just throws doubt around. I also want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to.
Hell yeah. I partake constantly. So no judgment there.
Smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe while she's
It's also legal here. I'm in Canada.
said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point. Screenshot C. Lying to audience. April 17th, 2022. A. I am literally getting harassed because people think I lied about us still being friends. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? This sucks so bad. B. It's best they don't know, as sad as it is, that would kill my channel. I do not want them knowing. It will be an even bigger, more messy thing. I'm going to address that I saw you and gave the rings, but we don't hang out, dude. That's just how it has to be. That's what they have to know. YouTube is my only income, and I'm only getting like $200. Amber adds that I said that I had a job even though I didn't. A. What about the backlash I'm getting for lying even though I'm not lying?
Oh, who cares the backlash you're getting? You just put them through hell. Oh.
B. If this comes out, it would be even less. Amber adds that this was about money. A. I'm choosing you over myself. B.
Oh, so righteous of you. This is ridiculous. This is exactly the kind of thing that I expect from a classic narcissist. And Amber is a classic narcissist. I'm choosing you over myself. Oh, thank you, my lady. Thank you, my queen. As if Beck is supposed to fall at your feet. And it's absolutely, it makes me so angry. It makes me so angry.
You should have said nothing at all. Amber didn't say that part. B. I lost my job. Okay, this is the big one I know a lot of people wanted me to address. Amber says that I completely denied being friends after our breakup. I didn't deny being friends with her entirely in my live stream, but I didn't say we were friends because I did not see us as friends. I explained that we did see each other in passing.
Why would you be friends with your abuser, honestly? Like, it's just, of course you would.
Needed to go to the apartment where some of my things still were whenever she asked me to do something for her and while being with mutual friends. To explain the screenshot, Amber mentioned me in a different video and told the audience that we were still friends at that time. This is why I said you should have said nothing at all, which she conveniently did not read out loud, except I didn't consider us to be really friends at the time, and I didn't want her talking about me on her channel. I was scared of the audience, the haters, and the fans.
I'm so sad that you're as scared of the audience. It's ridiculous that there was a point in time when everybody believed well, maybe not everybody, but where most people watching believed what Amber was saying and would have either harassed Beck or discounted Beck, and that's exactly what narcissists and abusers will do. That's exactly what they'll do. Is they'll convince you that they'll convince everybody that you're the bad person. They're the good one. Oh, they give everything to you. Look at what they do for you. But then behind the scenes, it's terrible.
Fans of Amber. I didn't want my channel to be all about her, and I didn't want to give her or anyone else any reason to talk about me. Instead of telling her, no, Amber, I'm not your friend, I asked her not to say that we were friends. I had forgotten that I sent a message like that.
It's because you have to be really, really, really careful about what you say to a narcissist who you're still in contact with, especially if you've broken up with them, especially if, like, because this is after the breakup. So you have to be so careful with what you're saying, because at, at any point they can retaliate against you by either maybe like taking your things, like Beck said that they still had things at the apartment. Amber could have destroyed them, Amber could have taken them, Amber could have locked Beck out of the out, and there's just so many things that Amber could have done after the relationship was over that Beck still felt like they had to agree to everything and walk on eggshells and be careful, and it's honestly really sad.
So when I denied her lying for me, I didn't remember the assistance, and forgetting that is on me. But she wants to make this out to be an example of her always lying to her audience for me and to spare me and protect me. That just isn't the case. I believe she's only bringing this up because I admitted to lying in her videos for her on different occasions. I want to apologize to my audience for not being honest with you all at that time.
You don't have to ever apologize to your audience, Beck. Your story is so valuable and so personal, and the fact that you're choosing to tell your story is incredible. If you don't remember things, that's okay. We don't all have perfect memories, especially in times when you're being abused, because either you dissociate or you just want to forget, and that's totally normal. You don't ever, ever, ever have to apologize.
I'm sorry that I was still afraid of being authentic and genuine with you all. I thought that if I could just ignore Amber and Gorl World, that would be the safest path. I hope I can prove...
Beck. Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
To you, I have learned from those experiences and changed. I also want to apologize for my memory loss. I know Amber said herself that she has bad memory, and I'm sure that it was just an additional thing to muddy the waters of what was real and what wasn't. But I do wish I had more proof for you. Obviously, there are years of video.
That's the thing, that there are years of videos that we can all go through that will prove you right and her wrong. You don't have to have a perfect memory. I would be shocked if you had a perfect memory. And honestly, if you did have a perfect memory, you'd probably have to be in way more therapy because of the constant thought of what she did to you. So yeah, we've got all the proof we need. Then we can look for ourselves. You don't need to be the one to spoon feed everything to us. Just telling your story is incredible.
Videos out there, and I rely on people bringing things to my attention a lot of the time when it comes to stuff posted publicly. However, I deleted all of our messages, texts, and other things. I didn't want to look at them anymore. I didn't want to read them or see them or think about them. They're gone, unfortunately, so I can't debunk or even look at the rest of the conversation for the screenshots she shows.
That's okay. That's okay. You need to purge that out of your life. And I did the exact same thing. Completely understand. It's part of the healing process to just get rid of everything. Just purge it. Yeah, nobody blames you for that.
During our relationship, I lacked a lot of independence and self-agency. I did a lot for her, but I couldn't get myself to do anything for me. I was depressed, and it was only getting worse the longer our relationship went on. She was dependent on me and wanted me to be dependent on her too. Codependence is hard to break out of. I slipped into it so quickly I didn't realize I had lost all agency for myself. And then once I was in it, it was too difficult to stand on my own again.
It's so difficult. If you're in a codependent relationship, it's so difficult to get out of, because like you said, you can't stand on your feet. You're constantly leaning on and relying on the other person to help you, just like they're leaning on and relying on you, and without each other, you don't make a whole. And that's such a scary position to be in. It's so detrimental to being able to escape out of it. And I totally don't blame you for falling into it. Honestly, it's incredibly easy to fall into, especially if you're that kind of like a vulnerable person, and you tend to trust easily. then you can just find yourself slipping into this lifestyle.
I've seen people compare it to boiling a lobster or crab. You put them in the water first and slowly raise the heat so
I like that it's a role reversal though. That's cute. I like the thing.
they don't realize they are being cooked alive. Things Amber admitted to. Number 1. She admitted to being mean and rude and talking down to me in videos and behind the camera. But she didn't.
Well, of course she has to admit to that because it's on video. How is she gonna lie about that? And everybody would be like, well, it's here, you know, like.
Admit that this was a form of public humiliation that I believe she used to control me and keep my self-esteem low. Number 2. Amber said that she was horrible to Destiny. No shocker there, but I do wonder why she kept saying she wasn't going to talk about Destiny in this live stream. I can only guess. Number 3. Admits to buying love and attention from partners and friends, yet doesn't admit to financial abuse at all. Amber.
Well, of course. Because buying love and affection is different than financial abuse to a narcissist.
There is a difference between being generous and holding things over people's heads as leverage because you paid for something. Number 4. Amber says that she went through my phone a lot because of trust issues, but then shows journal entries to, in her eyes, prove that I did read her journals.
Okay, to anybody who's going through their partner's phone, can you stop, please? That's not cool. That's not cool. If you don't trust your partner enough to not go through their phone and check their messages and read the things that they're saying to, like, that's not okay. I've been with my fiance for 10 years. Our 10-year anniversary is coming up. Not once. I was literally thinking like, well, have I had to go through his phone for anything, like for any reason? Nope. Not once have I gone through his phone. In 10 years.
First, I never said that she didn't let me read any of her physical journals. I said that she wouldn't let me go through her phone because she said there were private journals on it.
Well, of course. Rules for thee, but not for me, says the narcissist.
Yet she says that I could read her journals anytime and she wouldn't have cared if I looked at her phone. But that I never...
She says she wouldn't have cared, but she would have.
Really asked her anyway. Number 5. She admits that she does not feel that I was abusive towards her. But then why?
Well, of course, because you weren't. Because she was the abuser. Again, Darvo.
Do all of this, Amber. Number 6. She admits to being manipulative toward me and others to get what she wants out of them. Number 7. And finally, she admits that she shouldn't have asked me to drive during the times that I was physically and mentally ill. More on that later. At first glance, it may sound like she admitted to quite a few things, and she did, but she did not take real accountability for them. She spent the worst part of 3 hours talking about things she went through and only accepting the small things she felt weren't as bad to distract and minimize the impact of the bigger problems at hand.
Absolutely. That's so stereotypical of an abuser. They're not going to admit to the big things, and they're going to try to say, well, me, this happened to me, woe is me, you know, oh, well, it's because of this, like blaming everything else except for themselves. And she's never, ever going to take accountability. Never. She won't.
Admitting to vague things like being controlling and manipulative, but not acknowledging that the impact of her being controlling of my time was me not being able to look for a job, save money, or even spend time with my dying mother. Amber
That breaks my heart so much. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Continuously denied or straight up ignored the bigger issues or the details that didn't support her explanation for her behaviors. Things Amber denied/ignored. Number 1, she denied still talking about me after the breakup. Number 2, She denied asking me to send her the settlement inheritance money and me sending it to her for bills and other things she paid for. Number 3, she fully denied ever being financially abusive to anyone because of her infamous kindness and generosity.
Yep. Yep, of course. Of course. Gifts, 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 gifts. And then, oh, but you have to do this for me now. You have to do this for me, or you're going to have to find another place to live. You're going to have to find someone else to take care of you. Ridiculous.
Number 4, denied using a timer even though I said sometimes she did and sometimes she didn't. She only said this to make it sound like I wasn't telling the truth about her tracking the time for things I did.
We should be using timers for anything other than running, cooking, math tests. I don't fucking know.
Number 5, she underestimated how much I helped her with her personal hygiene, saying that I only wiped her for 9 months and that I got her a bucket a couple times and only brushed her hair once. She also denies free bleeding, though I was under the impression she had admitted this before in her videos, but I have no idea which video it could be if she did. Number 6, denies leaving me with only a little bit of money for a U-Haul and implies that she did pay me for the live streams. Number 7, she ignores the serious allegations.
She should have literal receipts. If she paid you for the live streams, she could go back years and years ago to see when she transferred you money, how much was transferred, etc., etc. If she really, really wanted to prove that, she'd be able to. But she won't, because it never happened.
Allegations about her behavior towards Libby. Number 8, she ignores the chat asking her about getting physical with Jade. Number 9, she ignores everything that had to do with feederism and her irresponsible involvement with feeders and making feeder content. Number 10, the last thing I'll mention here is that she gets asked what is the worst thing she did to me, and she replies with,
the cruelest thing I ever said to Beck.
I don't like hearing her voice.
God, I can't remember a lot of what happened, obviously, but let me think of something. It's not really what I said, it's just like what I did. Like,
yeah, what you did. Making Beck wipe you. Setting timers for them to be able to spend time with other people other than you, including family members. Limited their time limiting the time they were able to spend with their mother who passed. Like it just, and like, not to mention the way that you would speak to them, the angles you would show on camera, the unflattering, the constant humiliation. It's everything, Amber. It's everything.
forcing them to like come home quicker and like being annoying about it, you know?
Being annoying about it. That's a ridiculous statement to make. You weren't being annoying about it. You were being threatening. It's essentially, once you get into that what's the word I'm looking for? I'm brain farting. Once you get into kind of like the swing of things, that routine. Once you get into that routine with an abuser, with a narcissistic abuser, you start realizing that those little annoying things that Amber talks about are threats. You need to come home, or else I'm going to leave. I won't be there when you get home. You won't have a place to stay. You won't blah, 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 blah. And it may not be in those exact words, but based on everything else that's been said prior to that moment, you as the victim know that that's what they mean. So it's not just saying it in an annoying way. No, it's a threat against their safety, their livelihood, the roof over their head.
If she truly believes that is the worst thing she put me through in the past 7 years, then she is more lost and twisted than I ever realized.
Yes. Twisted.
Now, as I talk about the screenshots, I need to discuss the journals with you. The journals confused me at first. I barely remember her writing in them the majority of our relationship. She talks about it like she was sitting there reading her journals to me or handing them over whenever she added a new entry. I don't remember ever reading her physical journals. I remember seeing her write down her weigh-ins or goals, and I remember an essay she wrote that she wanted me to read. I also remember her using her journals for stickers and scrapbooking. But beyond that, I wasn't just sitting around and reading her journals for fun.
Well, no, obviously not, because a narcissist would never let you read their journals. Why the hell would they? Those are their private thoughts. And you're beneath their private thoughts.
I think it's odd that she's using journal entries to prove anything, and even more odd that it was to prove that she would have let me go through her phone according to her. Especially when she lied about having 2 phones and then suddenly had both phones and has kept every single text message and photo ever.
That was good. That was a good catch. I enjoyed that.
It's interesting that she brought the journals up because it reminded me that she had this online secret private journal on her phone and laptop that she says she had for years, probably back when she knew Casey and Crystal. And that was the journal she really never wanted me to see. But obviously, I wasn't looking to read her journal. I had only asked to go through her phone because of how often she went through mine. I was like, why can't I go through your messages? Who are you talking to?
Exactly. Giving that same energy back. Like, at some point, you just get so frustrated that you start to treat the other person the same way, essentially.
As she would make excuses for why I couldn't look and just needed to trust her. Eventually, I just didn't care anymore. Next, let's talk about the mattress and bed bug situation. I brought this up in my last live stream as something I was gonna say to talk about later in the video. So of course she had to get ahead of the narrative, and that's fine. It wasn't important who said it first.
Yep, that's pretty typical. If you tease something, she's gonna have to get right in on there, even if it's embarrassing. That's the thing. That's odd. It's the weird dichotomy. Narcissists will never want to be embarrassed, but they still want to beat you. So if you have something embarrassing against them, they will out themselves first, just so that they have a leg up on you. It's so weird.
Though I do want to point out this was a first-hand experience from my live stream of my memory being a little wonky. I know it can kind of make some people question my credibility, but I swear I'm not entirely jelly-brained. I may mess
I forgot about the jelly-brained comment. That's amazing. I love that.
some things up, but I remember the big picture. Ming, what happened to the bed frame? What do you mean, like the bed frame?
Like that's what you brought up.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
That frame that you had to get rid of, you mentioned that.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You said you wanted to hold on to that. They're talking about like what you were talking about just a minute ago, where you were like,
I'm having a giant brain fart. Hey, wait,
I have brain farts all the time. This first video of mine is gonna be an absolute mess.
it the one that we had bought together for
I don't
her
know,
room?
you mentioned it.
Oh, the bed frame. Oh, in her first apartment when we first met.
Yeah.
And she was moving out. Oh, I really want to tell you guys, but I've got some stuff that I'm holding on to just in case. So yeah.
I like the just in case. Like, just in case she pushes the right buttons, I got some stuff.
Yes, it was about the bed bugs. While Amber was living in the townhouse, she had gotten bed bugs. This was after Destiny and her broke up, and we were seeing each other. The bed bugs could have come from the neighbors. They were horrible at the time, but it was impossible to know. However, Amber let it get bad and pretended not to notice.
That's so gross. That's so gross. That's so gross.
I had bites all over me.
No.
I think she probably did too, but maybe didn't want to admit it. I helped her get rid of them, quarantining her clothes and the mattress, and when she eventually moved in with Eric, Ricky, and I, she asked me to lie to them for her. At the time, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I didn't want her to be homeless.
And that's the thing, is that you're so... you just have to keep saying yes to them and keep, like, just keep them afloat, I guess. Like, the abuser, I mean, like the narcissist, you kind of have to like keep them afloat, and it's not okay.
And she begged me not to tell them. I cared about her, and I knew that if I said anything, they wouldn't have let her move in. Eventually, I did tell them the truth, though, and Ricky and Amber had a big fight about it. I should have never lied to them for Amber at the time.
Honestly, it's okay. Hindsight 2020, and you were in an impossible situation. So yeah, and you recognize it.
Now I want to talk about something really serious with you guys. Talking about DV and SA is an incredibly sensitive topic to handle. While I am a victim of Amber's abuse, I am not a victim of either DV or SA by her hands. In this live stream, Amber makes outrageous claims against the people she's wronged and ignores others. She doubles down on her accusations against Casey with no hesitation because Casey dared to stand up against her. She ignores the allegations of hitting Jade and ignores being inappropriate with Libby. She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow.
And that's the thing, is that she, again, Darvo, reversing the victim and offender, like she pressured you, and then ended up like spinning it and twisting it and doing all kinds of weird gymnastics in her head, and then now, oh well, no, you pressured her. Oh yes, that's right. No, it's ridiculous.
She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chill type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie, and this started a fight between us.
That should never start a fight. If you're in a new relationship and you just kind of want to have like a moment to if you're in a new relationship and you oh my goodness, I'm losing my brain. Ugh. If you're in a new relationship and the person wants to, be intimate with you, wants to be physical with you, it doesn't necessarily have to mean like going all the way, but just any kind of physical intimacy whatsoever, and you're not really into it at that moment, like Beck said, you want to take it slow, then if they fight back whatsoever, red flag. Please get out of that relationship. It's not going to go well, and this is proof. Like, here's Beck talking about the horrible things that Amber put them through, and that's how it started. So please, if this sounds like something that you're going through, get out of there. Get out of there.
This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her, and if I didn't hurry up, she would find somebody else.
That's gross. That's such a gross thing to say.
I did like her at the time, and I didn't want to lose her yet, so then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible. After we started dating, the financial and economical abuse wasn't far behind. Economic abuse is a form of abuse when one person has control over the victim's access to economic resources, which diminishes the victim's capacity to support themselves and forces them to depend on the perpetrator financially. Amber didn't have her own bank account, and I allowed her to use mine and eventually join it officially. Amber had control of the joint account. Amber had control over her own private account. It was all Amber's money. She used...
Yep, and it's slowly, the same as the analogy of, boiling the crab alive. It started slow, and then it became more and more and more, and eventually Amber had all the money and Beck had nothing, and then Amber was saying, oh goody, now you're in the situation I want you in, and now I can just let everything show. Mask fully slips. It's calculated.
Is paying for bills and buying food and gifts as leverage to get away with anything. This was enough in her mind to justify all the things I did for her and owe her more. I took care of her because I cared about her and knew she couldn't do a lot of things herself. I cleaned up after her and the pets. I ran errands for her. I took her to appointments and restaurants and anywhere she wanted to go. I made her a huge part of my life and inner circle. I tried my best and did anything she wanted me to do. Meanwhile, she sees the relationship as her being taken advantage of because she paid for things.
No. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And no one believes it. Again, except for maybe her 20 or 30 people who actually still like her, but otherwise nobody believes it. We can all see through it. 100%.
Like paying the down payment on the car that I drove her around in. She bought food because she wanted it, and she paid the bills because she also lived there. If I had a job, I would have been contributing. But she used the fact that she could afford it and she needed me as reasoning for me to not get a job. And Amber used her paying for things that I needed to manipulate me into handing over the money for my mom's settlement.
That's so gross. It's so beyond gross. And Amber absolutely needs to pay that back. Absolutely needs to pay that back. Ridiculous.
She says otherwise, but it was not left in the joint account. All of this to me shows a clear power imbalance in our relationship that just kept growing and growing. On top of being financially controlled, I mentally wasn't in a healthy state of mind for most of our relationship. I was struggling with years of depression, and then when I finally tried to get help, the psychiatrist I was seeing misdiagnosed me and overmedicated me. I was on multiple medications, maybe 4 to 6 at one time. Mood stabilizers, anxiety meds, the combination and switching of medications had me completely out of it. I was bad before, but this was different. I was experiencing a lot of negative side effects, and Amber tried to minimize this by saying it was only 3 months.
When it's Beck's issue, it's minimalized. When it's Amber's issue, it's maximized. Of course. Because anything that, like with Amber having COVID recently. Oh, so worried about having COVID, so scared, so, blah, blah, blah. But when Beck had renal failure, when Beck was over-medicated and having all kinds of side effects, that was, it was only 3 months, so it wasn't that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. Like, insane.
I don't know exactly when I started taking the medicine, but it was the longer part of 2019, I believe. She also tries to minimize the effects of my kidneys shutting down.
The renal failure was very, very thankfully short-lived. So it was
thankfully short-lived. Go F yourself, Amber.
It was very quick, thankfully, because that was also very, very worrisome.
These two things overlapped, but both had long-lasting effects. Yeah. The doctors eventually wanted to do blood work because they were considering putting me on lithium, and that's when they found out that I was going into kidney failure. After more testing, they found it was the metformin causing it, and I was able to recover, but it wasn't quickly. After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing. And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths.
No, God, the washcloths. I knew it was this one. I knew it was this video, and I still wasn't prepared. The washcloths. Okay. All right, let's get through this.
She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then she would throw them away. Our roommates...
No. Okay. Be for real. Has anybody, since watching this video, how many of y'all have done like a mock, like, not actually done that, because, oh my God, but like, just kind of scooted your butt up there a little bit with pants on. Just scooted your butt up on the sink a little bit just to see how it would actually, what the logistics are. Because I absolutely have. And it's not,
started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were just...
That is the worst, going from comedy straight to tragedy here. Using someone's late mother's anything, any property for any reason whatsoever is not okay. But using their washcloths to wipe your poopy ass and then throw them away is beyond abhorrent. I just, like, Amber owes, it was Ricky, right? Yeah, Amber owes Ricky, like, emotional, like, payouts for emotional damage, for physical damage, for spiritual damage, because she hurt his mom. Like, oh.
Disappearing. And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink.
Why couldn't she wash them? She's so lazy. And no, you know what? No. It's not even laziness. It's specifically to humiliate you. And that is what is the grossest part of this. She made you wash them to humiliate you. And I guarantee at the very beginning, Beck probably said no. Most people would say no, or say, like, well, why can't you wash them yourself? And Amber would have come up with some kind of excuse. And if Beck didn't do it, then she'd say, well, then I have to throw them away, and then I've got to buy more, and it's going to be too expensive, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just so many excuses until Beck was literally backed into a corner with constantly, like, oh, well, you know, you either wipe me or wash these, or, you know, whatever. And they eventually said, well, I'll let them.
And then put them in the washer. Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time.
That's the thing, is that it ended up being the lesser of two evils. So at that point, it rather than like washing the poopy washcloth and then, you know, getting that all done, you just use some toilet paper and you just do it yourself. Like, oh my God. And for that to be the lesser of two evils, having to wipe Amber's ass is the lesser of two evils. Like, before this story, I would have asked, what's the other evil? But I don't even want to know what the other evil is. Now I know what the other evil is.
Time. Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times. And that is true. It only happened a couple of times. But I did help her get spots she couldn't reach.
If you need a bucket to shower, please get yourself some help. That's not me being funny. Just please get yourself some help. Because, like, we can laugh at Amber. We can look at Amber and say, I wash myself with a rag on a stick, you know? Like, we can do that. But anybody else out there, if you need a bucket to bathe, please get some help.
And in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower.
Yeah.
I also didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months.
I'm surprised that not many reaction channels caught that. Every few months. So, was she just not brushing her hair at all? Would she only brush her hair every few months? Like, how did she keep it from becoming a complete and utter, like, dreadlocked rat's nest? Like, I don't understand. Did she, like, sleep with it, like, in, like a bonnet where it, like, doesn't move? Like, that, I use one of those silk bonnets when I sleep because my hair is so damaged that I need anything and everything to stop it from being any more damaged than it already is. But, so did she use that, maybe? But, like, I have no idea.
I'm only saying all of this now because she does not live in the same reality.
No, she lives in her own stupid world. Her own world of complete and utter insanity that none of us could even dream up.
Hoping maybe this will be enough to finally reach her. She and some others...
It was.
don't realize that you don't wipe someone and groom someone that you don't care for. I didn't do those things for money. I did them to help her be more comfortable, to protect her dignity as much as I could.
And that's love. That's love. Amber doesn't understand what love is, or how to show, how to feel love. but clearly Beck does.
I lied for her and defended her and kept her alive. Now she shows her respect and gratitude for me by talking badly about me repeatedly. Even in the chaos of everything she said, she still had time to read chat saying we both had hygiene issues and saying that she did gross things for me too. Me not showering for a couple extra days because I was depressed and you popping my pimples are not the same as me wiping you and cleaning your ankles.
We've all had those depression days where we don't shower. I have them a bit too often. But, like, yeah, there's nothing that will compare to what you had to do for Amber.
Amber doesn't want to say that she is an abuser. I am saying that. She wants to claim this diagnosis and that diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't matter. Her self-awareness is non-existent. Everyone has noticed that she takes zero accountability or responsibility when in private. She will beg and barter and manipulate until everyone sees it the way that she sees it. She can't do all of that publicly, and no abuser wants their abuse to be aired out. Amber, I just wanted you to finally take some accountability for the shit you've done.
And unfortunately, she won't. She'll never take accountability because in her mind, she hasn't done anything wrong. And if she has, again, repeat the narcissist prayer, right? You can go back to that and repeat that. That's how Amber thinks.
If I really wanted to humiliate and embarrass you, I would have just done this years ago. The only way to hold you accountable is publicly. Bringing awareness to the abuse and having your audience see between the cracks. Your public live stream wasn't about an apology or healing. It wasn't about breaking your silence. It was about silencing others, especially me. You did not take this seriously. It is inappropriate to laugh when you are talking about other people's trauma.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No one should... And it's such a slap in the face as a survivor for the abuser to be laughing about what they did to you. Absolute slap in the face.
Especially when you're the one who caused it. I can laugh about my trauma with friends, but making fun of what your victims have experienced is insensitive and weird.
Yep.
You are trying to convince everyone that I did just as much to you as you've done to me. And since you don't feel abused by me, then I should not feel abused by you. But the difference is, I do feel abused by you, Amber.
Because you were. Because you were. You don't have to be a professional to see what she did to you.
Because you abused me, and you've abused other girlfriends in the past too. Name the worst thing I did to you. Tell me what it is so I can take accountability for it if it was so bad. Because all you've said about me is that I'm a liar and use you for money. Just because you feel attacked by my perspective doesn't make it a lie. And I wouldn't have dealt with so much if I was only with you for the money.
Right? Right? No amount of money. No amount of money to wipe Amber Lane.
And still to this day, you have the audacity to say that the worst thing you put me through was forcing me to spend time with you? It is laughable if it wasn't so sad. The funny part is you are kind of right. Forcing me to spend all my time with you kept me from my mom while she was dying. These were the darkest moments of my life. I look back on them now and wish I could slap myself awake from a nightmare.
Other reaction channels, better reaction channels, have already read through these, and if I do, I'm absolutely gonna cry. So yeah, we'll just wow.
I don't know why I let her control me so much. I wish I would have just run away and told her no. I have so many regrets from that time, but she knew what she was doing. She knew she was manipulating me into isolating myself from my own family, begging me to spend time with her instead of my mom, causing rifts between us in the very little time I had left with her. I hate that because of Amber and her hold on me. I wasn't there for my mom the way I wanted to be. I hate that I don't remember our last Christmas together. I hate that she cried for me when she was losing so much.
No.
Abuse changes people. It can turn you into someone completely unrecognizable. It could take years for you to find yourself again and to make sense of what was even happening. To those of you who haven't experienced something like this before, I hope that you can see this as a tale of caution. And if you have experienced something like this similarly, then I hope this helps you feel less alone.
You have helped so many people. I've read through comments. Sorry, I'm like, I got all. Beck, you're really good at making people cry. You got Mr. Snowflake too. But you have done an here. I'll a little bit
I
more
hope
flatter.
that my mom is out there watching and
There. I want to show Beck in the most flattering way possible. You have helped so many people. You would have helped me if I was still in it. My situation was almost 15 years ago. Oh no, it was actually 15 years ago. And if I had had someone like you to watch when I was going through it, I wouldn't have stayed as long as I did. You are so strong, so well spoken, so eloquent, so just so good at getting your words across. It's I need to learn from you first off. But what you've said is so valuable. So valuable. And your mom would be just ecstatic to see how you're flourishing. She'd be so proud of you. Oh my gosh. We're all, like, everyone who watches you is proud of you. So I'm sure your mom would just be over the moon.
and seeing the changes I've made and is feeling peace knowing that I am safe, happy, and loved. I hope that she is proud of me for sticking up for myself and for speaking out against Amber. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you.
I loved that video. I loved that video. I chose that one as the first one for my channel because it was just such an incredible way to start reactions based on Amberlynn. Starting with Beck's words and Beck's story is to me just a really good way to do it. I don't want to start with Amber's words. There's going to be I'm not a fan of hers, obviously, and I have a lot to say about her, but starting with Beck's words felt right. So thank you so much for watching this video. I promise that I will get better with, oh gosh, now I got stuff in my eye. Thanks, Beck. Thanks, Beck. I promise that I will get better with these videos. This is just me kind of getting into the feel of things. I'm going to start doing reactions of Amber's videos, obviously, now that things are getting really, really spicy. So yeah, I hope that you join me for this journey, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.